Get ready to discover some of the most actionable DevOps techniques and tooling, including performance and reliability, with some of the world's smartest engineers. Hey, I'm Joe Colantonio, host of the DevOps Toolchain podcast, and my goal is to help you create DevOps Toolchain awesomeness. Hey, it's Joe, and welcome to another episode of the upskill DevOps Toolchain podcast. And today we're going to be talking with Daryl Dunn all about Gremlin certification, reliability testing, and chaos engineering, all the cool things that you need to know about nowadays. If you don't know, Daryl is a senior solution architect at Gremlin. And I first heard about the new Gremlin certification, I think, on his LinkedIn feed. So really excited to dive into that. So if you really want to know how to upskill your career with one of the hottest, I think, topics in testing, chaos engineering, then you don't want to miss this episode. Check it out. Hey, if your app is slow, it could be worse than an error. It could be frustrating. And in my experience, frustrated users don't last long. But since slow performance is a sudden, it's hard for standard error monitoring tools to catch. That's why Bugsnag, one of the best production visibility solutions in the industry, has a way to automatically watch for these issues: real user monitoring. It detects and reports real user performance data in real time, so you can quickly identify lags. Plus, get the context of where the lags are and how to fix them. Don't rely on frustrated user feedback. Find out for yourself. Go to bugsnag.com and click on the free trial button. No credit card required. Support the show and check them out. Hey, Daryl, welcome to the Guild.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Big fan.
Awesome. Appreciate that. Great to have you. So, Daryl, I didn't have much of a bio. So there's anything in your bio that I missed that you want the Guild to know more about?
I've been an OG testing guy. My first stop in testing was at Deloitte, where they had a very large customized SAP instance. And we did lots of scripting, lots of testing, lots of time saving with that. Automation was just kind of at the beginning. So started there. Eventually went to startups and got to make the trip with App Dynamics to Cisco. Really interesting this week that Splunk was purchased by Cisco. So that kind of brings back a few memories for me. So it was great getting acquired by Cisco. But again, all about observability. Observability doesn't work unless you have your systems being exercised and automation. It fits in there very well. So came to Gremlin. One thing that drew me to Gremlin was that there's a lot of original gangsters at Gremlin. The original, Colton is still here. And there's some other folks that are here that are engineers that came from Netflix and AWS. So I thought it would be a great place to learn. That's me in a nutshell. But I have always been, I'm glad they pay me. I would do this for free. So.
Wow, nice. So, you said, for example, there's a lot of OGs there and you wanted to go there to learn. Did you learn anything about chaos engineering that you didn't know about before you joined? Like, wow, I didn't even think about that.
Absolutely. So I came from the Gene Kim School, DevOps. So, he talked about the story of doing testing in production. And so my initial view of testing in production was chaos engineering, that we would let the chaos monkey go and run through production. And you had to be resilient all the time, to make that work. But in reality, reliability management is kind of the watchwords we're shifting to, is about scientific method. It's about, hey, what happens if we lose a region? Let's go out and create a game day, create a scenario that encapsulates that. I thought it would just be like, hey, let's just go gangbusters and randomly attack systems, but that's not the case at all.
Absolutely. I guess I should have started off with people that don't know. What is chaos engineering?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for us, it's for Gremlin, it's a very controlled process, but the world would kind of define it as more of, hey, chaos happens, I'm going to release chaos into my environments and make sure that I have everything set up and I'm resilient and I can last that. Because you can do functional testing and your site is functional. And it's the most accurate application application in the world. But if you don't have one configuration set in your YAML, you won't fail over when the east zone goes down. And so functional testing won't help you. And again, performance testing won't help you because it can have to be the most performant app in the world, only in the east zone, in the east availability zone. So yeah.
No, that's a great point. Nowadays, the way things are going cloud native, like you said, you could have the best functional tests in the world, you could have the best unit tests in the world, but nowadays, like back when I started, everything was under our control. All the bare metal was in our raised floors, and we knew what everything was doing. But nowadays, like you mentioned, you can't test for what you don't know, because when you get in the wild, there are things that could occur. Like you said, certain instances could go down. So, is that something you've been seeing more of? Then companies think, oh, we have this great testing uh, process in place, so we should be okay. We don't have to worry about chaos engineering.
Absolutely. We do see that, and it's not for us it's not it can be a very what's the word? It can be a very expensive exercise for a company to not plan for resilience issues because they're going to happen. I mean, if you don't introduce them with automation or infrastructure as code, I mean that's huge now. And how do you test that? Well, you test that through chaos engineering or liability management to make sure what I automated, what I built, what I rose from the ashes, into your infrastructure is resilient. So that's the only way you're going to know.
Absolutely. And you mentioned something how when people hear chaos, they think it's just chaos, like you just do whatever you want. And someone said that's unfortunate. They shouldn't have named it resilience testing, because then it's not.
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit more about how the chaos is almost like I guess designed chaos, or almost experimental chaos?
So there's a few different caveats to explore here. One is so you can have chaos testing and do training. And this is a really some of our more advanced customers are taking support folks and they're putting them in more of like a flight simulator, and they're doing chaos testing with them. And the support engineer doesn't know what's happening. They just all of a sudden see the logs. They start seeing this what's occurring on their systems, and how do they adjust to that? And what is our run book good enough? Are we able to react fast enough? And that goes with and then also and that reduces your MTTR. How do we get back online quickly? Because those kind of things are going to happen. But also you have to read. A lot of times you read through a lot of engineering issues where we went down the wrong path for like 4 hours. And for some businesses, 4 hours is an eternity. To be down and to be looking in the wrong places. So that helps you with that. I have performed several game days with really big customers, and what always comes out is there's some change to observability. They always find something they're not. They're either looking in the wrong place, or one team has perfect observability and the other team doesn't have observability at all. Or some and I won't say the customer, but we had one customer doing a game day with, and one of their teams was like, one of their services was down, and we had taken it down with Gremlin, and they said, "Have you started yet?" and the other team was like, "Oh no, we're down hard right now. I mean, we're seeing all the exceptions come back."
So that's another good point, I guess. What do people need to have in place before they even get to chaos engineering? Like, is chaos engineering a more advanced technique? Like, do they need telemetry and observability baked in before they go all in on like chaos type of activities?
That really helps, but there are, and yes, we completely integrate with a lot of the larger APM tools and even smaller ones to kind of, when we cause these effects to occur on your system, we want those observability tools to be your visibility into how do I tell what the full impact is for sure. So that really helps. And it's not like it was, years ago where App Dynamics, you had App Dynamics Penetration Relic, And those are expensive propositions. You can get, you can have open source Jaeger, open telemetry, is everywhere to pull in. But we definitely recommend some level of observability. But we suggest start out with the big rocks. I lose an availability zone. Everyone's is in the cloud somewhere, and there is the concept of an availability zone, and I am present in both the east and the west, and so I should be able to fail over one to the other. Really basic stuff.
Nice. So who basically uses chaos engineering? Um, is it SREs? I've heard some use cases where an SRE may have a down, something goes down, and then they make it part of like a regression test with chaos engineering to make sure that they're able to fail over and be more resilient next time. Is that a common use case? And I guess, who's the common user of chaos engineering? And I guess, are there different activities at different places along your DevOps pipeline?
Yeah, great question. SREs, developers. Um, Imagine you get your again, it's the old ship left. For find it earlier, then you won't have, it won't be more expensive bug to fix down the road. But yeah, SREs are our main users. We're seeing a lot more platform engineers. You're getting a lot more, customers that are forming a PE team that's creating all their infrastructure, and then it gets passed off to the developers to deploy their code. And then the SREs are kind of managing the whole, all from nose to tail, the whole environment. But yeah, SREs are our main users that we find, that kind of regulate, say, hey, we need to see this on every test, through their ecosystem.
Great. So do you always do chaos engineering in production? Like, do you ever get resistance like, whoa, hold up, don't turn that off? Or is it like always in a staging, and is it more realistic nowadays with staging because you can pretty much mimic production with containers and things like that?
Yeah, we talk to customers all the time about that, and that is their first. We kind of put that myth to bed right off the bat. We actually recommend you don't start in production. We recommend you start in your upper environments, and that way, when you're just about to go to your production environment, that in my staging, in my integration, those environments are resilient. And if I do those same exercises, things into production, then but everybody wants to keep track with the unicorns, the AWS. AWS does, and Netflix and the big boys. They do it in production, and a lot of our, I will say a lot. Some of our customers also do testing in production, as part of their builds.
How hard is it to maybe make chaos engineering part of before you checking code to run some basic tests to say if the service is down, I'm getting the right code back saying it's down, or I'm able to interact? Is that a common use case? Hey, let's run some common scenarios of what could happen when the service is down, just to make sure that our negative testing is working before we check into the main branch.
Absolutely. With Gremlin, it's easy. I mean, it's literally 30 seconds to do a black hole test where I take a whole region down. I take a whole node down. The different levels of failure. Of course, a lot of our customers are moving to Kubernetes or already there, and so sometimes you have some engineers that are new to that ecosystem. And so they love it. They love the fact that they can go ahead and do some testing, some scaling up, scaling out, to see are we are we reacting to that? Are we reacting the right way to that kind of stuff? But developers love to do that kind of stuff early, because that keeps them. It's like the old Gene Kim from Phoenix Project was like, when we started giving developers pagers, bugs started getting fixed faster.
Right, right.
When you're eating into their gaming time or
Yeah,
vacation, you know.
that's a great point. So, so one of the myths is a lot of people think you have to do it in production. Are there any other common myths you hear about uh, chaos engineering that you constantly hear and you're like, oh, wait a minute, that's not necessarily true?
I think the other thing we hear is the random. They think it should be a random attack. That Gremlin should just be sitting there throwing gremlins into your system randomly. and that can be done. That can be accomplished, not with ease. But that really does. What we have found is it's much better coming up with a hypothesis, saying, "Hey, this is what we think happens, and we're seeing something else happen," and proving it. It just goes back to the old adage: show me this is working, show me it's viable code. Uh, you know,
Yeah. So I guess companies, they almost treat it like a magic bullet. Oh, we'll just do some chaos engineering. We don't need to know what the heck we're doing, and you'll tell us stuff that's going to help us.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah. So I know, when I first heard about monkey testing or Chaos Monkey, it's very cool. It started with Netflix. It was very difficult to implement. I think there's an open source version, and it's like you look at it, you're like, yeah, that's not
The
happening.
simian, yeah, the simian
Yeah.
army.
Yes. Yes. So can you tell a little bit how Gremlin may make the process a lot easier than maybe starting off that way?
Absolutely. And I'd like to, welcome your users to go out to our website and check out a demo. We'll do a demo for them. But the thing is Colton and team have productionized it to where it's easy to use. We have a great front end where you can set up these tests, but don't be fooled. We're API driven. We have customers that run Gremlin completely headless and run via the API, and we can handle those executions at you know. Another thing that you can be rest assured of with Gremlin 2 is we're SOC 2 compliant, security from the beginning, and it's a big concern for customers with chaos testing. They want to make sure that you're cleaning up after yourself and that you're not doing anything that we would not condone, those kind of things. The thing that with Gremlin is a lot of your other vendors will allow custom actions, custom tests, and then how do you determine what is Gremlin, what is chaos testing and what is not? So that's high mind for customers.
I assume with the API, it makes it easy to integrate with your CI/CD systems. It almost sounds like, oh, this could be a manual process we're going to have to do manually before we do things. But using that API, I assume, are you able to make things a little more automated then with these chaos checks, maybe?
Oh, 100%. Anything that we do inside the GUI, inside of Gremlin, you can do with the API. Create a scenario. We have a large customer out of West Coast. Again, they're completely automated. They use the API and they use Jenkins, and their pipelines have chaos built into them, just like they do, JMeter tests and functional tests. They automate chaos testing along with. Usually they do the chaos testing first, and if the chaos testing fails, they have something to fall back on. One of the things that one of the things that we're revolutionizing is we're giving microservices, a reliability score, and we want to be preemptive. A lot of these tests, a lot of your testing is reactive, and so we run our tests, we find an exception. So we've introduced a suite of tests that are kind of curated, pre-automated for you. You just tell us where the service is, and we give you a score on it. So think of it more like, this gives me a proxy of risk. Hey, I know right now that my service is reliable. And I didn't have to know anything about chaos engineering. I just kind of pointed Gremlin to my service. So that's one of the things that we can automate as well.
I assume once you have that score, you can see over time as teams work through sprints, is it getting better or is it getting worse? It's
Yeah,
something you can actually say, hey, look, it is getting worse. See, we had a score before. Now over time, it's progressively getting worse.
and maybe that dictates, and maybe some customers use it to they send out a Slack message to the team and say reliability has fallen in this microservice to 68. What 70 is our minimum. So what's happening here? And we look at resource exhaustion. We look at dependency, and then we also look at failure. So I mentioned earlier that we talk about the real basic things. Can we fail over in a node? Do we fail over in a zone? And then we mentioned earlier about Kubernetes. Folks new to Kubernetes, A lot of orgs are, throwing engineers into Kubernetes, and like Kubernetes, they're trying to get their arms around it. We're also doing some things where we're going to give you some detected risks, like, hey, and once we ingest the service, we say, hey, you don't have a liveness probe set up. You don't have enough CPU resources in our mind to run this app. We go ahead and warn you about those things, so you can take action on those as well.
That's awesome, because I know a lot of people have issues configuring their Kubernetes for their specific needs. So it's almost proactively checking that for you and
Yeah,
bubbling up.
exactly.
So how does it alert people? I know a lot of times coming from a performance background, that running the test was easy, but analyzing the results, I'm like, gosh, I don't know what the heck's correlating to what this is occurring. How does Gremlin report then? Is it automatic? Does it give reports? Like, how does that work?
We do. We actually show you with the reliability scoring. We'll show you trending. You have a one-stop shop to get there. Plus, everything that we're discussing too can be dropped into a Splunk or dropped into, a lot of larger customers have some sort of log aggregation strategy, and we can of course put our logs in there for when a test fails, or to a dashboard. Lots of customers use Grafana. And so, we output our results to those dashboards. And then also, the integrations are rich. We have integrations with Jira and integrations with Slack. So if an RM test fails, we automatically create a Jira ticket for you if you want us to, with all the details in there. What failed? Where did it fail? Did we find a detected risk? All those details get dropped into your Jira tickets.
Nice. So I want to get to certifications. Before I do, one other question though. I know we're almost we're 20 minutes in, but AI is everywhere. Generative AI. I've been seeing a lot with observability. A lot of companies coming out. Is there anything AI specific you have on the roadmap, or maybe be baked into Gremlin since last time I spoke to you all, maybe a year or two ago?
Yeah, absolutely. So coming soon, that we are in discussions to talk about those, expanding on those detected risks. And hey, by the way, we're always seeing this detected risk in your environment. Take action on this as a whole. So we've seen this in 100 services. You may want to think about, what you're doing to give you more holistic kind of views of things. A lot of that data is getting collated and pulled in, but we are definitely intrigued and looking at a lot of those AI avenues to build in. Um, I could see us doing some, hey, some scenario suggestions. Hey, we've seen this problem with your environments several times. We suggest you run this scenario. We do some, suggestions there. And then also, we're doing some things around fixes. By the way, if you run this kube control command, you'll be able to scale, horizontally. And then here it is in the bottom. And this is how you would run it. This is what it would look like. So that kind of stuff is so we're taking that preemptive information and we're going to build on that in the future. But yeah, it's really exciting times.
Absolutely. And speaking about exciting times, you caught my attention again because you came out with a Gremlin certification. So, a little bit, what is the Gremlin certification program?
Yeah, absolutely. So, updated with the reliability scoring and detected risk, you definitely can. And it's free. It's self-paced. We give you the little trinkets and the gifts to add to your LinkedIn profile. And again, it comes from kind of the OGs, original gangsters in chaos engineering with Colton and the team here. This is kind of the real, and as far as chaos engineering, it will introduce you to it, walk you through it, and it's not a cakewalk either. I mean, you have to you have to really concentrate. But again, it's self-paced, and it will walk you through all the tenets and give you a little exam at the end. But we prepare you for all that, through the course, and anyone can register.
Awesome. So it's a course format. Is it videos? Is it like written? What's the format?
It's both written and videos, and again, we'll walk you through some of those courses, and it's really well done. And again, it is updated because we had a 1.0 of this. This is the 2.0 that will definitely help folks get more familiar and get good sea legs from the chaos engineering standpoint.
Nice. So if why get Gremlin certified? If someone's Gremlin certified, does that mean they're chaos engineering testing certified, regardless of the technology?
It's both basically. So we kind of show you how to get there, but it's more chaos engineering to get your foundation set in that arena. Game days, we talk about that, and how to build good scenarios. But yeah, you will get a good chaos engineering education along with introduction to Gremlin. It's kind of like, here's chaos engineering, and then this is how we do it.
Awesome. And I would think this is great for onboarding too. A lot of times people get a tool and they're like, that, go at it, and you're like, what? But it seems like maybe you have someone purchased Gremlin, they can have the team take the certification, and at least they have at least a baseline of what the heck they're trying to achieve with it.
Absolutely. And we've also always offered boot camps. We will give you a boot camp where we spin up all the infrastructure. You don't have to, commit any of your infrastructure to the walkthrough. We'll do the boot camp with you and give you a playground to do your chaos testing in and to see it in action.
Awesome. And where can people go to get that certification for Gremlin?
I was just looking at that. It's gremlin.com. I believe it's certification.
Yeah, it is. Gremlin.com/certification.
Yeah, get certified and walk through there, and you'll be able to do it. It's really, really a great course, and they've done a great job of it.
Nice. And once again, you did mention it is free, so anyone can take it, regardless if they use a Gremlin or not.
Yes, absolutely.
Nice. So what's the easiest way to get started with Gremlin? Is it, like you said, do you have a demo? Is there a free trial? Is there, what do people typically do?
Yeah, all that's available to you. We definitely can spin up a trial. You can, of course, do the certification as well. And then also, we'll be glad to do a demo for you and walk you through Gremlin. But yeah, and on our website, there's customer testimonials, all kinds of things to walk you through how to get started.
Very cool. Okay, Daryl, before we go, is there one piece of actionable advice you can give to someone to help them with their chaos engineering DevOps testing efforts? And what's the best way to find, contact you, and learn more about Gremlin?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can always go to gremlin.com and you can reach out to me direct, Daryl at gremlin.com, DARRELL at gremlin.com. And be glad to put you in touch with the right folks. The one thing I would just leave people with is, yes, that thing lurking in the back of your mind that's happened to your competitor can definitely happen to you. So let us put that nightmare out of your mind and put that to bed.
And for links of everything of value we covered in this DevOps Toolchain show, head on over to testguild.com/P130. Remember, latency is the silent killer of your app. Don't rely on frustrated user feedback. You can know exactly what's happening and how to fix it with Bugsnag from SmartBear. See it for yourself. Go to bugsnag.com and click the free trial button. No credit card required. So that's it for this episode of the DevOps Toolchain show. I'm Joe. My mission is to help you succeed with creating end-to-end full-stack DevOps toolchain awesomeness. As always, test everything and keep the good. Cheers. Hey, thanks again for listening. If you're not already part of our awesome community of 27,000 of the smartest testers, DevOps, and automation professionals in the world, we'd love to have you join the fam at testguild.com. And if you're in the DevOps automation software testing space, or you're a test tool provider and want to offer real-world value that can improve the skills or solve a problem for the Guild community, I'd love to hear from you. Head on over to testguild.info and let's make it happen.